crept me at home. On the 14th floor with a bathroom door don't lock. So happy we don't gotta worry about the cops. We could all get arrested for this, but when the police mix, I don't give a shit tonight. Alright. Now she walks in the bedroom fast, despite all the noise from the crowd. Now she's bedless on the bathroom sink. Her mother would be so proud. Gets on a deed and there's a line to go pee, but the bathroom looks like a war zone.
Welcome in to episode 221 of Phired Sports. Check us out at phiredsports.com. I'm Mike Giletto. Joining me as always, Mark Ramos. What's going on, Mark?
Not much, man. Same old. I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better.
Yes,
and
I was down and out for the count.
a little bit of a Philly flu, maybe from the game on.
Could have been, yeah, a little delayed reaction from something we had to deal with on Sunday. I got home. So I got home from work early Tuesday. I got home at like 2:00, which is incredibly early for me. I think I laid down just to kind of relax at like 2:30. I fell asleep. Didn't wake up till like 6.
Yeah.
And then I fell asleep at like 9:00, or I think it was like 9:30 for bed, and I didn't wake up till the next morning. So much needed sleep. Did not feel great, but I'm feeling much better 24 hours later. So that's good.
That's good. Yeah. I know that it's been I have bad allergies and stuff like that, like really bad.
Yeah.
And which I'm sure you can tell on the show if you listen. I mean, I know there's been a couple weeks very congested. So it depends on the weather and stuff like that for me. So it can be rough. So I can identify with that. So
Yeah.
back in the day, it was fine.
Yeah, like the same night, my daughter was sick and was like up getting sick every like 30 minutes that Monday night. It was brutal. It was not fun. So, speaking of making us sick, we could just get right into the Eagles game. So they lose obviously to the 9. I mean, obviously going in, the national kind of consensus is that they were the favorite. They should have won. You're playing a decimated Niners team who are just kind of, hoping for the best because they don't really have expectations because half their defense is hurt. You lose Kittle early. He's done. Torn Achilles, I believe is what they said. And you still somehow find a way to lose that game, 23-19. The same sort of blandness or staleness to the offense that we've seen all season. So I think to us local fans, it's not really a surprise, but in the grand scheme of like national media, I think people consider this a pretty big upset. What say you 48 hours later or however long it's been now? 72 hours.
I've definitely cooled off considerably. And then the Patullo news helped a little bit where it was just kind of like, all right, well, we kind of knew that was inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of how it felt. It felt coming into this game. We had talked about prior the week before the games, and we jumped into the whole wild card discussion and about all the games. And when we talked about the Eagles on our last recording, we had talked about like how they can't, if they were going to win this game, they can't have this prolonged stretch where like the offense goes dormant like it has kind of all year for them. For anybody who's watching them closely, as we are weekly, and that's exactly what happened. And it felt inevitable. It felt like that was definitely gonna happen. I don't know. Some of the things that stick out to me the most, the drops were killer.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown's 2 drops in particular kind of stuck out in a big way. And it feels like we've known for months that like it was almost like a lame duck situation with Patullo. Like he had to have known, and I mean, like the Eagles had to have known they were going to go in this direction for weeks now because this has been something that's This has persisted all year, and
which almost raises red flags for me because like if you knew you were going to do it and it happened this quickly, it's like you knew weeks you could have made the change mid season. Like
yeah, yeah, and I mean, and then I guess like I guess they didn't want to do that because of hey, like there will be better options later on. I mean, we'll probably get into the names that are out there, but yeah, it felt inevitable. Like you said, it does feel at the same time like a missed opportunity with a player like Kittle going down with a serious injury and stuff like that. And it's not like they have like a ton of weapons offensively anyway. And I mean, it was, I thought they were going to have to sell out to stop McCaffrey in that game. And then it was Demarcus Robinson, I think, was the one that the big day. And it's like, I guess you're okay with giving up big chunk play, giving up big chunk plays to a player like that. But yeah, it was killer. And for a defense that's been so good this year, to give up those large, like those big hitters, a trick play, of course, like um, it was tough. It was a tough pill to swallow. But it felt like watching it and with the crowd there, like people were upset. Like you could tell from watching on TV, but it kind of felt like to me like there was also this feeling of inevitability where we kind of like people are like, this is going to happen. Like it was kind of
sure, yeah,
felt
yep.
like they knew it was happening. So um, just really disappointing. Really disappointing follow up season to a championship year, and especially in a year or two where it like feels like it's kind of wide open,
Hmm.
and it feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and you mentioned the defense a little bit there. I know people are gonna for those large plays and the trick play you talked about or the third play of the game, whatever it was, to Robinson to beat Quinion pretty good. It's hard for me to really crucify Vic Fangio and the defense because they have played well all season.
Mhm.
They've been
Yeah,
a top three defense, 3 to 5 defense in the league. They've been great all year. You're gonna have a game where you're not perfect, and that's when you need your all-stars, the offensive weapons to show and bail out the defense, and that just didn't happen. I didn't expect it to happen, but like it has to at some point, and it just never
yeah,
did.
and I mean, it's almost like it's unfair at this point. You know what I mean? Like I I don't know. Maybe there is some resentment on that defense where it's like, hey, why don't you pick us up once in a while,
Yeah.
like kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Because there really hasn't been that. Um, and yeah, I mean, offensively, it's still just it feels so it just felt so underwhelming. Once again, I mean, Saquon wasn't much of a factor in that game. I mean, we've said that more often this year than not. Following up a really historic, like quite legitimately, like a historic season last year. Um, yeah, a couple key drops. Not just the pick on AJ. I mean, Devontae Smith had a crucial drop at one point. I think in that game too.
Yeah. If it's one that I think you're referring to, it's the one. So everybody's talking about the fourth down play at the end of the game, the 4 verticals. It's been all over Twitter, Facebook, wherever.
Yeah,
Which is a terrible play call. But the play before that, Devontae Smith's pretty wide open.
yeah,
Devontae Smith should catch that ball 99 times out of 100. He didn't. It hit off his hands.
yeah,
But here's where I'll give some criticism to Jalen Hurts. A good quarterback makes a much better throw in that spot. A much better.
yeah,
Like Smith had a jump for the ball. It hit off his hands. Again, should make the catch, but a better quarterback puts that in a better spot, and I think he makes the catch if it's a better throw.
yeah. Yeah, he probably does. Yeah, I mean, Jalen doesn't escape criticism for
Mhm.
you know for this as well. I mean, I'm obviously we've talked about him plenty on this show, but I'm a big fan. I love Jalen's game, and his mentality. often talk about that. It's his best quality, I think, really. But um, you know, it wasn't his best day, and um, I think too in games like this where I don't know if it's something that he does or I know that there are some design runs where he just doesn't like. There's plays like on RPOs and things like that. He just doesn't run,
Mhm.
and it's like, but he can be a weapon in using his feet. Um, and he didn't do that. I mean, like there were some instances in that game where Brock Purdy pulled the ball down and ran with it, and he was diving head first for you know to gain a first down and things like that. Um, and I think because Jalen has that cool as a cucumber demeanor all the time, when things are kind of, you know, a lot of us have this, right? I think like our greatest strengths are also our greatest weakness kind of thing. Like, because he's so cool and relaxed all the time, you want that sometimes when it feels like there's chaos around you. But when the season feels like it's slipping away from you and everybody can see that, you would hope that there'd be some urgency there from him. And he just kind of he's always this, just always. So, um, like I said, also one of those things where it's his greatest strength, but also a big weakness. I think sometimes, and I would have liked to have seen him run the ball because I know that he's capable of doing it, and I think that also contributes probably to the lack of originality, to put it one way, about how the offense looks. It's just like mixing Jalen in there on some of those RPOs and have him pull the ball down and run with it gives it a different look. The defense isn't respecting it because they know he's not going to. Uh, so it's like
Do you think that's a him decision to not do that, or do you think that's coming from Sirianni and Patula?
I go back and forth about it because I feel like there were
Yeah.
times where earlier in the year I would have said like coaching. Uh,
Mhm.
but then it felt like there were some opportunities for him to pull the ball down and run with them in this playoff game, and at times late in the year here, and he just hasn't, like, he's just not doing that. And
Yeah.
so that could contribute also to like that kind of like lack of um and look, I mean, he's the franchise guy and all that, so you want to protect him, but at the same time, there has to be some there's a time and a place for everything, of course, right? And I
Mhm.
can't think of a better time than in the playoffs than to kind of like
Yeah.
uh you know kind of like take the handcuffs off and let him kind of do his thing if it is them. But I don't know anymore. I think maybe that's a decision Jalen's making. Um, you know, so I don't know. To answer it, I don't know, but uh, it feels that way. It feels that way to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And we'll have all the time all off season to say who they should move on from, who they should bring in. But one thing I think that's pretty clear, and I don't know if they think it's clear or not, but like you got to find the new kicker at this point.
Oh,
Whether
geez, yeah,
I mean whether that comes out of the draft. I mean kickers, I feel like hardly ever drafted anyway. Whether that comes out of draft, free agency, like you got to find one. Even if you bring one in for a competition in training camp and let him figure it out that way. Like I don't know that you could go into next season with just Jake Elliott as your kicker.
yeah. I mean, it just feels more and more frequently, you know. And it was a weird year for him, right? I think because like a lot of his misses came on extra points, or he could hit the long ones, but it was like the extra points and things like that gave him trouble.
Hmm.
Um, which
But like he misses an extra point in this one. At the end of the game, maybe you don't have to try to score a touchdown and you're in field goal range to kick the field goal. Now, their guy also missed an extra point, so you could justify it as, hey, it kind of washes out. Like, if their guy doesn't miss, you still have to score a touchdown anyway. But I don't know. At that point, you're playing the ifs and what game. But
right,
either way, you kick that extra point, and all you have to do is tie the game with a field goal.
right, yeah. You know, kickers are so it's such a weird thing. I agree with you. I definitely think they need to kind of either look to kind of create a competition here or just straight up move on. Just because, it's like we like some of the really good ones and consistent kickers, like we take them for granted because they're always so automatic, but it could become a real problem. You know what I mean?
And listen, he's been great for like a good 4 or 5 year stretch. It was
Oh
great.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, how long has he been here now? Has it been 8, 9 years? Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a long time, and that's what happens. You see that happen with a lot of guys. Some guys, and he made like it's a weird position that way because it's so pressure packed and all. It's like the Eagles can move on from him, and he could bounce around the league for a couple years, and then later in his career stick somewhere. You know what I mean? Like down the line, we see that too, like with guys.
Yeah, 9 seasons he's been here.
Wow, yeah. So I mean that would probably be something to look at because it's becoming more regular, like that he's now doing that, and it often seems like it's in real big moments, and like in a playoff game, everything's going to get magnified, right? So, um, that's happened a number of times where we've seen him miss extra points and things like that this year or like in recent years. So, and it just feels like too, like, then it takes it off the board, right? Like it takes points off the board, obviously, but then it's also like you said about like getting in field goal range, then you don't really feel that comfortable running him back out there if he's already missed one. You know what I mean? It kind of, maybe it shouldn't, but I'm sure it kind of alters your game planning and thinking of like, hey, well, this is kind of in his range. If it's on the longer side, it's like right up pressed against the box in terms of, his career best or whatever it is that they look at for that kind of thing. And then, you're just not as comfortable running him out there if he's already missed, if he's already missed from 20, why would you let him kick one
Right.
from 54? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Now let's. I just want to kind of go over his career a little bit. Just kind of see where kind of things fell off. But so started his career in 2017 with the Eagles, right? 84% field goal percentage. Followed that up in 2018, also with an 84%. Goes up a little bit, 84.6. Then in 2020 has a down year, 73.7. Then he follows that up by 90.9, 87, 93.8 in 2023, and then 24 and 25 it goes downhill. 77.8% in 2024, and then this past year 74.1%. So 74 and 77 the last 2 years, not good. His extra point percentage has been kind of steady his whole career. Now the playoffs is where things get a little weird. His field goal percentage in the playoffs in his career made the playoffs in, it says 8 of the 9 years. So 96.6 field goal percentage. That's tremendous. Much higher than his career, regular season average. But then his extra point percentage, his career playoff extra point percentage is 86%. Huh. How? Why?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I just told a big old lie on here.
It's insane.
Numbers didn't back that up, but
it's regular season. It does, but it just seems crazy to 86% in the playoffs, right? Extra points.
Yeah, extra point percentage. I mean, that's a huge drop off too in the regular season. Like, and I mean, whether it's like through the draft or whatever, I think that's probably probably the better road to take there. Just to put a different. There's going to have to be a number of changes, but what, we can certainly add that to the list because, it hasn't been good enough from Jake.
No, it has not. Another place that we have to talk about, and this is a conversation I feel like that has to kind of happen now and will happen later at some point, is the whole AJ Brown thing. Right, obviously made a couple crucial drops. I don't know if I'm willing to call him a headache because I don't know how much of a headache he is in the locker room, but according to the perception is that he's kind of a headache inside that locker room. But how do you deal with him? Do you keep him? Do you move on from him? Do you kind of try to figure it out with him with a different coordinator? Like, what's the answer here to this AJ Brown stuff? Because I don't have it.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, like, I've seen people um, talk about like, oh, trading him or whatever. That's not that isn't I don't think that's an option. I think the Eagles would be on the hook for like 20 something million or something
It's
like.
if they trade him is way more than that.
Is it more than that to trade it? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so again, I don't know if my numbers are accurate, but I heard if you trade him, it's like 60 million,
oh, okay.
and if you cut him, it's like 80 or something crazy.
I thought it was 20. Yeah, I wasn't sure,
Yeah,
but
my number could be wrong. But that's what I heard earlier today or yesterday. I heard it somewhere.
yeah. The overarching point is it's too much. That's not an option like to do.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, uh but yeah, man, I that's all we can go on, right? Like I think like the we're not in the dressing room, right? So we don't know that aspect. But I mean, if
Okay.
nothing,
Well, my number was completely wrong.
oh,
Although I'm not, it's not that far off. So if you trade him before June 1st, which football always, what's the difference between May 31st and June 1st? But if you trade him before June 1st, it'll be a $44 million cap hit. But if you trade him post June 1st, it will be split into 2 years, 16.3 million the first year, 27 million the second year.
okay.
So
That
either
was
way, it's about 40 million.
Yeah, I think that was what I had heard. That
Okay.
was the first part was what I heard. I didn't know after the June 1st or
Yeah, so
whatever
before
that.
June 1st, roughly 44 million.
Mhm.
Post June 1st, 16.3 the first year, 27.2 the second year.
Yeah. Yeah, either way it's kind of the same no matter
It's
how
a
you
lot,
want to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you get it 1 year or split into two, like
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't know the aspect of the locker room and the inner workings of that, but I mean, and I'm not often I think we do this, right, in sports, and it's like we all become like communication experts and
mhm.
body language experts and things like that. But and I'm about to do that now. But yeah, like he looks like a guy that just like he looks checked out. On
Mhm.
like on the field, he looks checked out. The first drop or whatever, well, not the first drop, maybe what do you have, three? I think it was the second one where I guess he was looking for a call. Like it was on the he was covered. It was one on one on the outside, and the DB was in front of him, and you know they're kind of. It just looked like there was not enough effort on AJ's part to fight for that football as it went up. I don't remember what uh, if that which one came first. But that one was a bad look because it looked like he kind of gave up on it, even though it was like a little underthrown. The wind was also, the wind was a factor in some of that. But this is a really talented guy, right? And we've seen him, um, right? He loves to say it, right? Always open,
Mhm.
and he really kind of wasn't in this game.
Right.
Uh,
No, it was not.
and well, in some cases, he was open. He just wasn't making the freaking play, and it just like I don't know. It feels very like it also feels like it's something to me. It feels like it's something between him and Sirianni. You know, that clip of came out of them coming through the tunnel. I think after the Buffalo game, and Sirianni's very much a motivator, rah rah guy, and he's like running up the tunnel and he's yelling and things like that. And AJ, the camera catches AJ kind of not rolling his eyes, but he's just kind of like, this guy's crazy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, maybe we're making more of that now because of like all the stuff that has come out this year as far as like, you having the meeting with Lurie and there being like, wanting to be more involved and things like that. And there was a big like stink about that only for him to, if you're going to do that, you have to show up
Yep.
in a game like that. And he just didn't. And, so then justifiably there's going to be heat with that,
Yeah, I can get behind. Like I can tolerate you acting like a diva wide receiver if you're putting up numbers and consistent catches that a diva wide receiver does. But if
Yeah,
you can't act like a diva wide receiver and make those drops and be that checked out. And you have to perform on the field.
right. Like that's always how I felt too. Like, um, like remember the Super Bowl, like with To when To
Yep.
was here with Donovan, and he went out there on one leg in that game. It was like you
No.
could say what you want about it. That is a we got the championship in a legendary performance from like Foles and all that later. But like, had they won that game, I mean, To would have went down in Philadelphia
Oh,
sports.
sure.
Or
And he was a complete head case. And I think he had like 11 catches, 110, 20 yards, whatever it was in that game on one leg. Like
yeah,
he balled out.
yeah, he was an animal, and it was also like, um, you know, cross sports reference, right? But like, we're both baseball fans and stuff, and like for many many years, teams tolerated Manny being Manny because Manny
Mhm.
Ramirez was this quirky personality, and but he performed on the field, so you kind of dealt with it, even though he could be lazy at times and things like that.
There
He
are
was
incredible. If you go down the lore, there are some incredible stories about Manny Ramirez, and they just let him get away with whatever he wanted because he was Manny Ramirez.
yeah, because he was Manny, and
Yeah.
just like so like yeah, you have all the world in the day. You give those guys infinite amount of rope when you know the end justifies the means kind of thing, and like they're out there performing. But there's gonna be a lot of blowback and a lot of pushback on you doing that, and kind of from an outsider's perspective, create a story out of something that wasn't a story before, and then in the biggest game of the year, you just don't show up or you don't perform in that game. It just like there's gonna be a lot of heat on that, and I think too from the perspective that of course, post game he just dabbed up some teammates and bounced after the game. Like there
Hmm.
was no, he would obviously be someone you would want to talk to, and they kind of felt like that was conveniently sidestepped because there was probably going to be some difficult questions about his performance in a game where he's kind of been the squeaky wheel all year. So um, yeah, I don't know where that's going to go. I feel like for the reasons you just mentioned, that's going to blow. It kind of takes trading him off the board unless he were to just like hold out and not want to play. I don't think it's that bad, but it does feel like to me, it feels like We're on a collision course here with AJ and Sirianni. Like him running down the sideline to get him to get off the field, and the way AJ went back at him, and it also felt the way that guys got in between them as quickly as they did, kind of felt
Which,
like
by
that.
the way, can we, Big Dom, go away. I don't need you anywhere near my TV.
He had a
Go
great catch.
away.
He had a great catch. And,
Sure, yeah. Use his body more than he did his hands, but sure,
yeah, that
that's
was
fine.
that was a better catch than anything AJ
That's, that's,
anything AJ
that's a good point. It's a good
made in
point.
that game. I would have loved if AJ would have made a body catch.
That's listen. It's better to catch it than not at all, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It don't have to
Um,
be pretty.
that's true. They ask how, not how many. Or I'm sorry, they ask how many, not how.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, all that to say, I don't need. I'm tired of seeing Big Dom. Anyway, yeah, no, it's now that you say it like that, like it's almost kind of reminds me of like a more volatile like Castellanos Thompson scenario where like it's clear these guys aren't on the same page.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good comparison, and we're still trying to sort that one out.
Right? Yes.
Uh, you
Yes, we
know,
will.
uh, he's still here,
Yeah.
so yeah, I like I said, how quickly Dom and all got it. It felt like that they had been, they have to have had, and it's one thing, right? Like, yeah, like conflict like that is a part of it, like it. It's not
if they,
personal.
sure, and if they do butt heads more than like we realize, and the relationship isn't that great, I think Sirianni does a pretty good job of like kind of being the leader or figurehead of the like locker room because he says all the right things about AJ. Talks about how much he likes him and all that. So if he is hiding it and kind of putting it on the back burner just to kind of ease tensions a little bit, I mean, I give that to Sirianni a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if he's able to put everything else aside and be like, hey, like this guy helps us win football games, even though even though we frequently butt heads. I mean, like that's I think the kind of guy you want in that role.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not quite there. Like I know that like I've seen a little bit of that with, like online and things like that when it comes to the offense and how the offenses ran and people saying like um like if you blame Patullo for what's happened, you're also blaming Sirianni. And I don't necessarily think that. Like Sirianni made the statement after Patullo was let go, but I don't think I did. I was actually talking to some friends about this. That like when that statement came out, we were talking about like just I'm not sure that Sirianni even made that choice. That could have came from his superiors upstairs. We're like, hey, you gotta like, we got to make some changes here. You got to let this guy go. And
Well, I mean, Sirianni is basically the guy that like hired him essentially. Like
right,
it was his guy. Like
right.
so
So
when people say that they blame Sirianni for Patullo's failures, I think that's kind of what people mean. It's like you're the guy that kind of put this together.
right, yeah. So maybe because of that, Sirianni's going to put his name on a statement, but
Hmm.
really,
I actually didn't even see the statement. It was today.
no, I think it was after he was let go. So
Okay,
was it yesterday or the day before that they let go?
I'll have to look it up real quick while you're talking.
Yeah.
I don't think I've
So
seen it.
yeah, it felt like to me something that was kind of like Sirianni's out in front of it because he's the head coach and stuff like that. But it was probably a decision that the front office made, I would imagine. Um, their input was given on that.
I've decided to make a change at offensive coordinator. I met with Kevin today to discuss the difficult decision. As he's a great coach who has my utmost respect, he has been integral to this team's success over the last 5 years, not only to the on the field product, but behind the scenes as a valued leader for our players and organization. I have no doubt he will continue to have a successful coaching career. Ultimately, when we fall short of our goals, that responsibility lies on my shoulders. I mean,
Yeah.
sure. Also, he just the other thing it says is I've decided to make a change at offensive coordinator. It doesn't say we've let Kevin Patullo go.
Yeah.
So like there's in that statement the door's still open for him to be on the staff somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, too. That's true. I didn't think about that. Um, but
And
yeah,
and
like
I know he's passing games. Sorry to cut you off. I know he was passing games coordinator before he got the offensive coordinator job, and that was last year. But let's be honest, the passing game sucked last year, so I don't even want him doing that again.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know why. Like yeah, I don't know why you would want. And plus there was rumors, remember? Like they were like, "Oh, some teams are going to consider Kevin Patullo for their jobs." And we were like, "Why?" Like
Yeah,
mid-season, we were like, "Are you watching what's going on over
yeah,
here? Like we're
right.
not happy with this at all." So
No,
I don't know how anybody's considering him for a head coaching job. But yeah, that kind of does leave the I didn't really put that together when I saw that, but it was like we were kind
at
of
least
making it.
that's how I interpreted it. I could be wrong, but
Yeah. No, we were just making jokes about it, and the more I thought about it, I thought about that, but we were like uh, in a group text with some of my friends. We were like, yeah, like Sirianni didn't make that. Like he's like, oh, I decided to make a change. We're like, he didn't make that change. Like that
no.
came from Howie or Lori or both, or you know what I mean. Like they were like, hey, you got to make you got to do this. So. Uh, So yeah, I mean, so there. We'll look at some of the options here. I mean, at
If
OC
you
and
had your pick, who's your guy? Because at this point, I think it's, at least in my opinion, I think it's kind of obvious 1, 2, and you can go either way. I don't know who I prefer, but I think
mhm.
there's two clear candidates.
Yeah, I think like Brian Dable's the one that I think that's an interesting fit. I think Kevin Stefanski's a pretty interesting fit. But the one that's out there, right, like as the guy that I think it was that may have came out today was Mike McDaniel was the
Mhm.
guy, and you want to talk about strong personalities and like quirky personalities. I seeing Nick Sirianni and Mike McDaniel together on a sideline it seems interesting.
And
Uh,
honestly, I didn't even think of that like aspect. It might work because Nick's so like emotional and like has a lot of energy, and like McDaniel's just kind of this laid back, chill, dorky, like goofy guy that
yeah,
they're like it might balance each other out. I never like thought about that.
yeah,
Whereas like Dable's a little more like intense. I feel like
yeah. He's kind of more of that Sirianni
yeah,
cloth of like being intense. Um, but yeah, I that's interesting when I think about that.
yeah, yeah,
But also like those some of those I know that it kind of it went off the rails, of course, in Miami, but at the peak of that offense, I mean, like that was a really fun offense. Like you want to talk
yeah.
about like putting together like exotic looking packages and trying to do like creative things offensively with the football. Mike McDaniel can certainly draw them up, and and I think that's what people are that's what people want from this offense that we see has um, a lot of talent, and we want to see them used to to their fullest potential. So I can see why McDaniel's the top pick, but or like he's like the top name being floated out there, but um, I think Dayball would kind of be, but I don't know too much about him as like a coordinator. Like, you know what I mean? Like, um,
So he obviously has history with Hurts. Back in his Alabama days,
yeah,
um, although Dable was the coordinator when Hurts got benched for Tua. So I don't know if
mm,
I doubt there's any bad blood. Like anytime you're the offensive coordinator of Alabama when Nick Saban's the head coach, how much say do you really have? But
right.
I digress. But he also was the offensive coordinator of the Bills teams where he kind of developed Josh Allen. He was there for
Oh
like Josh
yeah, that's
Allen's
right.
first like 3 or 4 years, I think, maybe 3 years. Um, and had pretty decent success
Yeah,
before he went to New York.
I
So
totally forgot about that.
yeah,
His time in Buffalo. Yeah. So yeah, so I guess that means by proxy, um, if Dable gets the job, that maybe Jalen sits again and we get Tanner McKee full time
well,
for
there you
those
go.
people. You
We're
know,
starting this quarterback controversy early. I like
I'm
it
starting it right now,
right
January
now.
14th. No,
Yes.
uh, yeah. So yeah, no, I forgot about his time in Buffalo and that being, and you're right about that, his impact on Josh and stuff like that. And I think sometimes too, guys are just better in those roles. And I think that's
Sure.
kind of like this revolving door at offensive coordinator. They kind of need to find the you know ideally I think coming into this year if or not coming into this year but knowing that they were going to let Patullo go and all that, with the revolving door at our offensive coordinator, I was kind of hoping that they could find the Vic Fangio equivalent for the offense, like a guy who maybe has some head coaching experience and stuff like that, but he's kind of older now, and like no one's really going to be looking to Vic. I don't even know that Vic has a desire at this point
Mhm.
to take a head coaching job. Whereas like some of those younger, more hungry guys, it then becomes like a stepping stone job for them.
Sure. Yeah. Like a guy like McDaniel and Dable are young enough where like if I mean their head their goal their overall goal is probably to become a head coach again. Whereas if the Eagles are back in the Super Bowl next year with one of those guys as the offensive coordinator, they become the top of the list of head coaching candidates.
Yeah, absolutely.
They probably leave in a year or two.
Yeah. So and then like you're kind of right back to square one, where again like you're kind of on the hamster wheel, right? Like with the
Yeah,
OC.
they have to find what Pittsburgh or not Pittsburgh, what New England found in Josh McDaniels. Whereas like he's arguably one of the best offensive coordinators you could possibly have in the history of the sport, but he's an absolute disaster and dumpster fire when it comes to a head coach. And he's done it like 2 or 3 different times and it's never worked out. But he's just an offensive coordinator for life now for them, and it's been great. So they got to
Yeah.
find that version, that guy.
Yeah. So that's what my hope was. Even like Stefanski, I think would probably get another crack at a
I
head
think so
coaching
too.
job.
I think he has a better chance of getting a coaching job this year than the other two guys, because like the other two guys kind of, I think it ended more It ended in a more disappointing way. Whereas like people just look at Stefanski and it's like, it's the Browns. It happens. So he'll do fine over here.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I think the census probably is too. It's like, well, it's Cleveland, and that's just kind of how
Yeah,
it goes there. Which is also one of the reasons I was surprised to see. I think McDaniel he's had an interview or is getting an interview with Cleveland, and I thought that was interesting because I was like, I
I
know
don't know
it's
why you want that job. I don't know why you
yeah,
would.
just based on the history alone. Like I don't know why you'd want
Yeah,
that.
like again, if your ultimate goal is to be a head coach one day, I get that. I totally get it. And if that's the only job here, it would be hard to turn it down. But then if you look at somebody like maybe we're biased because like we're Eagles fans, but like I'm looking at the Eagles roster, I'd rather be the OC of the Eagles for a year and then have my pick of the coaching opportunities next year.
Yeah, that's what like, too. Like I see people say, it may have been a writer or something like that. Like I've seen people say like, that they didn't see how this would be a desirable job, and I just like I don't see that perspective at all.
No,
Like
not at all.
I would imagine that the Eagles' offensive coordinator job would be very attractive, especially if that is your goal, to look and to use it as a stepping stone. That's a great job
Hmm.
for a team that typically also too bounces back pretty well, and
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, I would imagine that it would be a very attractive job for
Yeah,
those
I don't know how it
reasons.
isn't. I mean, you got a Super Bowl MVP as your quarterback. Has his
Right.
flaws definitely, but still won a Super Bowl MVP. You have Saquon who rushed for 2,000 yards a year ago. Like AJ
Yeah.
Brown, Devontae Smith. I mean, the offensive line's a little banged up and old, and they got to find new bodies. Like that's the only
Right.
criticism I have of the offense.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a good assessment of it, and you know, so I'm not really sure, how people have come to that conclusion because I don't see that at all. Um, but yeah, I mean, these are the top guys out there for those jobs, and the Eagles are looking to, they're obviously having conversations with those guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of the three are here, um, in that role. But who would you? I know you had said yes. You asked
I
the
go back
question.
and forth. I think originally I think I was all on the Dable train because I liked his time in Buffalo. Um, Sorry, the Flyers scored and I'm distracted.
It's a
Power play goal. Those are hard to come by nowadays.
power play goal.
Um,
That's I don't even believe
Power
that.
play. Zegers scored.
Ah,
Yes, so it all makes sense now. um, but so I think I started Dable because of his time in Buffalo and the Hertz connection, and I think he's a very smart offensive guy. But I think McDaniel's a little more like creative and wacky, where like I
yeah,
think he could get the best out of the talent we have on the roster. So like, and with the yin and yang that we were talking about earlier of like
yeah,
Sirianni, McDaniel. I'm kind of on board of the Sirianni or of the McDaniel train, and that literally happened in the last 20 minutes. Coming into the show, I was going to rave about Dable, and I
yeah,
think I switched.
yeah. There you go. I mean, like, if you do, if you do end up with McDaniel, if you're Lori, you gotta. I know they just did the midseason Hard Knocks, but you gotta get them on Hard Knocks next year
Right.
with those two dynamics.
Yep.
Uh, and I mean, it could be like a really like awesome wacky fit,
Right.
and
Or even
uh,
if you don't do Hard Knocks with like HBO, do like your own Inside the Eagles version of like a YouTube series. Put something out.
yeah,
Give me something.
Yeah, put Spadaro on it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't need him, but sure.
He's all over that stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I would love that. I think that that would be. I could kind of see it. I wonder too, like about from like based on like the types of players that they had when Miami was really that offense was really like the peak of their powers kind of thing. Like they don't quite have the same pieces, but they have very good pieces. Obviously, the Eagles. So it would be I would be intrigued to see what he kind of does with like what he could kind of cook up or scheme up with these guys. You
Well,
know
I think
what I mean?
he's a better quarterback here.
Right.
Better running back here. The only piece really that was better there is like Tyreek.
Well, yeah, that's exactly who I'm thinking of in
Yeah,
terms of
okay,
like
yeah, right,
there's not like that like there's not
sure,
a player like and there are Tyreek's one of one, right? And he had a
right.
devastating injury this year.
Nope.
But yeah, like I kind of like wonder how like that would work with the wide receiver room and all and how they would kind of
Hmm.
utilize some of these guys. Not like Tyreek Hill, but what he could do with a player like a big like powerful guy like AJ on the outside
Yeah,
or like a really sure-handed guy on the other side in Devontae Smith, like how that would look. It could be really fun. I mean, I know that like they would definitely be, and also we could see some of those things that we had talked about prior, right? Like we were talking about, a couple weeks ago, and last week we talked about Tank Bigsby being involved, and like if he's back,
yeah.
you could like
How many carries did he get this week? I don't think it was many.
no, I
Four.
don't
Got
think so.
four carries.
Yeah,
Four
so
carries, 19 yards.
So yeah, like maybe you can use like him and Saquon in these packages and things like that, and do something really kind of cool and creative that kind of gives defenses headaches, and that's just one aspect of it, right?
Yeah,
Maybe a guy like McDaniel, he'd be more willing. He views Jalen as a guy that kind of we're like, hey, we need you to run, like we need you to kind of keep defenses honest with your legs sometimes and kind of get him more comfortable doing that. That could be cool. That could be a plus. Um,
yeah,
so um, yeah, I that is really interesting. But I think like yeah, seeing like with going back to the Dable thing, I think Dable being having that connection with Josh and watching the player he's become. I mean, it's ultimately on the player, of course, but um, him having a hand in that. Uh, and if you're really kind of hyper focused on what Jalen is doing, which we often are.
yeah. Definitely.
So like that, but like maybe he can really kind of like work with him, and then they have that familiarity with each other, and you know, so maybe it's something that's worth revisiting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. We can move on then to you want to do our picks?
Oh yeah, sure.
All right, let's do it.
Are we still doing the?
So I looked at what me and Dom did last year. The way we did the division round is we picked the against the spread for we picked this against the spread for all three games. We also did all three over unders. I don't know if you want to still do that,
Okay.
or if you just want to do 3 and 2.
Well, we have 4, right? There's 4 games.
Is there 4? Why is there only 3 coming up on my screen? Is there
We have
4?
Bills, Broncos, Niners, Seahawks, Texans,
You're right. There are 4. Okay, yeah, okay. So that's
Rams.
what we did. I think we did 4 and 4.
Okay,
But if you want, we can do 3 and 2.
3 and 2.
What-
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
is that cool?
Yeah, that's
Whatever you want. All right, let me. Yeah, for some reason the Bills one was not coming up at first, so I saw only 4 games on my thing. I was very I saw 3 games at first. Hold on, let me put this down here. All right. So if you want, you could start it off.
all right. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with the Bills over the Broncos, and they're plus 1.5. I know that's a tough environment, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Like I feel like this is. I feel like this is Josh's year. I think he's going to get he's going to get the ring this year. So
Okay.
Uh,
They got a lot of work to do because their team's definitely flawed.
yeah, yeah,
But so is everybody. Like you said, it's wide open this year.
yeah. So I got the Bills at +1.5, and I'm gonna go with the Seahawks at 7 -7 over the Niners. Niners are going to Seattle.
Yep. All right.
You said 3-2. We're doing 3-2.
Yeah. If three spreads, two over unders, that's fine.
Okay.
So one more spread.
And I was talking them up before, and I think I'm gonna go with. Even though I know the Rams are trendy, but I like the Bears +3.5 at home, home dogs again.
The,
So
the comeback kids.
comeback kids.
I
That
don't
was
know
a
if anybody's used that nickname yet, but they come back in every goddamn game they're in.
bear down.
Yes.
That was an awesome game against Green Bay. Seeing the fans react the way they did, to not only come back like that in a playoff game, but for it to be against like such a bitter rival. I mean, that was awesome.
It's really fun to see Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur legitimately hate each other.
Oh, I love it.
It's really entertaining.
Yeah, I love it. And so I guess I'll do Texans Patriots here, and I will take. I'm going to take the under in that game, 41.5.
All right.
And I'm going to take the under in the Niners Seahawks game at 44.5.
All right. You said over or under?
Under. Under
44.
44.5.
All right. So I got the Rams and the Bears game as well, but I'm taking the Rams -3.5. I think I think they realized that like holy shit, we almost lost to Carolina, and then when it was like time for them to turn it on, they did at the end of the game. So I think they'll be on. I don't know.
Okay.
And then I have the Niners and Seahawks. I also have it the other way. I have the Niners +7.
Okay.
I have the Bills and Broncos game. I have the Bills. I also have the Bills +1.5. And then I have the Broncos and the Bills game. I have the over 46.5. And then I didn't pick my last game yet. What do I want to do? Let's do. I'm gonna do the Niners Seahawks under 44.5 as well.
Okay.
All right, and this I give our totals as well.
Yeah.
So far for the season because
All
we're
right.
winding down here. So on the season so far, I am 51-34. You're 45-40.
Okay.
So we're getting there.
Yeah.
But both over 500 is not bad. It's pretty solid.
Doing pretty good this year.
So, all right. One last little bit of something I want to talk about. Obviously, the Phillies met with Bo Bichette. It seemed like they're the favorite right now to land him. I know we talked about it a little last week. At this point, I'm all on board the Bo Bichette train.
Yeah, I am too. I think this is such a clear. This is the kind of thing I want them to do, right? Like we've talked on this show a lot about, like you're in an like whether you think like the Phillies are definitely a playoff team, have been a perennial playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you consider yourselves or whether fans believe they're legitimate contenders or not, you're in an arms race with the Dodgers. Like that's just like that's the way it goes. If you're in it and you're a playoff team, you have to go through LA. And in order to do that, I mean it's kind of with the way the Dodgers have done business, it kind of just like it forces other teams, especially big market teams, I think like the Phillies, it's pay to play. And like you want to play in the postseason, you got to pay these guys. And I think like the fact too that like Bichette it's a rarity, like with the 27-year-old, free agent, like they got to get this done. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like we're too far along now, and the rumors have been spread from some legitimate sources that like there's mutual interest here and all that, it's just going to anger people.
Right. At this point, I'm mad if it doesn't happen. Like, I'm disappointed. I didn't think going into the offseason, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think there was going to be interest. I didn't think there was a spot for him. I didn't even put Bichette in my mind until like 3 days ago. So now if I don't get him, I'm going to be upset.
I think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people are in the similar, have like this similar train of thought, and it's like it's fair considering that it just like evolved, it just like popped up, and then of course like the Don Mattingly fit, him being here he's the bench coach, right? I think he's coming in as a bench coach, which I will say, Don Mattingly, keep an eye out for if something goes sideways this year. Rob Seat gets hot, Mattingly's going to be the guy.
Okay. Ooh.
They're going to put, so that's
doing hot takes about
that's a hot take.
January.
Yup, in January. I'm
you're full of them today.
I'm firing them off here.
Yeah.
But I do feel that.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Now I'm getting all hot and bothered by that. I don't like that.
Yeah. See, I join the train here. It's just me.
Honestly,
and you right
that's kind of the perfect guy to have there if that does come to fruition. Like, I could see that.
And he's like a guy, like, I mean, he's not only a well-respected former player, great player, has managerial experience.
It's been around forever too. Yeah.
Been around the game. Guys respect him, So, so I can see that. Like, that seems like something that could happen if things were to go a little sideways. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you have to get this done with Bichette. And
then you figure out positions later. Whether you, I don't know. I've heard you either trade Bohm or Stott, or you do whatever you have to with Castellanos, move Harper back to right field, Bohm to first base, Bichette to third. Like, I figure that out later. Get the deal done and figure the rest out later.
Yeah, I'm of the same thought. Guys figure it out, and like real great ball players, they don't have a problem with it. They're all here for the common goal, like and trying to win a championship. I mean, guys do it. A-Rod did it in New York when he got to New York. Moved to third, and it was fun. They won a title later on, a couple years later. So it's not something I'm like terribly concerned about. I know guys can do it. And I'm on board with whatever needs to happen to get that done. Now, if it were to fall apart somehow, which feels crazy that could happen, but if it were to like fall apart now, and the Phillies just somehow just like run it back with JT and they just put a bow in the offseason, I'm going to be mad about that.
Right. Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be like, so what was all this like? You didn't like pivot and like turn to someone else. Like if you were in on Bichette all this time, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it seems like Bichette or bust basically.
Right. So I mean, you have to be all in, and I think there are people from other, it seems like other reporters elsewhere believe that Bichette's destined to be a Philly.
And it makes the Garcia signing make a little more sense. Whereas, like, that's a fine complementary piece that you could shift down your lineup to 6-7 kind of area, instead of having them 5-6. Like, you just slide everybody down one. And now, what signing Bichette means for JT and the catching position? Who knows if they could still make that work? So I don't know where a catcher would slide into your lineup, but still, either way, I think being able to slide everybody down, he's a 300 hitter that can a little bit of pop, not a little bit of pop, but still 300 hitter. Like, I think brings so much more to this lineup, and it adds protection to Harper too. Like we talked about the year Harper had, and Dombrowski said, who knows if he's elite? Like, I don't know. We got to see like if he's still the elite player. Like, I think adding a little protection helps. I mean, this year who batted behind him most of the year, but like Bohm. What is like? Boom's like an okay hitter, but like nobody's like afraid of. Nobody's throwing to Harper when Boehm's behind him because like you're much more afraid of Harper than you are of Boehm. Like it's just
Right. Yeah, no, and I think too, like I think when you look at the type of player Trey is, you look at the year he had at the plate last year, and then adding another piece like Bichette, I think like having a couple guys that are capable of hitting for 300 in today's game, especially when it comes to the playoffs, and I think a big problem, and this is why I'm like very very specific about the players that I want them to be interested in and not interested in. It's like plate approach for the Phillies has been a major problem in the playoffs. They're at bats. It's not about like for a lineup that's designed for a lot of their run here has been like home run or bust. It's like it's hard to win a title that way, especially if you're running the teams that have quality pitching, which most of them do if they're in the postseason. So it's like, um, I think they really needed to look at, like, if you can add a guy who's capable of hitting 300 in Bichette, and he has um, and he has a good approach at the plate, that'll carry over into the postseason. You'll be able to, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
we won't be as concerned about how many runners have been left on base and in games, and situational hitting will be better for this team. And I think that's been a major problem. It's not necessarily the hitting in general. It's hitting when, you have runners in scoring position and things like that. Just these fundamental things that this team's kind of like, I think it's how, I think it's one of the reasons they've fallen short. And I think, being able to address that, when you roll around come October, because you will be there, um, you know, that matters. You know what I mean? We've seen guys come through with some big hits. Other teams get some really good off from unlikely sources even.
Yep.
It really depends on plate approach and like a guy that can really kind of like isn't so undisciplined at the plate all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so adding another guy that maybe has a good track record that way would be a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. Maybe the Red Sox, maybe Ranger as a good parting gift. Bowed the Red Sox out of the equation.
Yeah.
Because I think right now, I think word is it's between the Phillies, Red Sox, and Yankees. The Red Sox just gave Ranger Suarez 130 million, so I don't know how much more they're willing to shell out. So maybe
Right.
it takes them off the market. One less suitor.
Yeah, and I should say too, I think like props to Ranger for getting the bag, man. Uh, Fun player, really good pitcher.
It's a big contract for him, though.
It is a big contract. He was fun here though, and
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
I enjoyed his time with the Phillies, and hopefully it carries over for him as long as it's not against the Phillies.
Hmm.
But it is a big deal, man, and but like, hey, like that's pitchers get paid, man. Like like everybody's looking for arms, and you can't go anywhere, in my opinion, without it. You have a shelf life. If you don't have the pitching, you're not long for the postseason, or if you somehow get into the postseason, you're not long to stay in it. Without quality pitching. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It just seems like a lot of years and money for a guy that has trouble staying healthy. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I'm also surprised too that like JT Realmuto, like we've heard so much about, like, I think somebody came out recently and said there's like zero market for
Yeah.
Realmuto.
Mhm.
And I'm a little bullish on what I'm willing to give him, when I'm not willing to give him. But even that seems kind of strange that like there's like no interest. Like, and maybe that has something to do with, maybe he's really steadfast on money, on the
So
money.
I think the report, it was either today or yesterday, came out that the Phillies offered him. The money's not out there. Nobody knows what the contract was, but apparently the Phillies offered him a 3-year deal and he turned it down.
Wow.
So I don't know if he wants 4.
I Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Again,
know.
I don't know what the money was like on that 3-year deal, but apparently he turned down a 3-year deal.
Yeah. I don't know how that. I don't even. I think 3 years is even generous. Like,
Right. Yeah.
to be honest, like,
Yep.
but and at this point, it's like if that's true about like this market for him, he's probably going to end up taking a 1 year.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know how smart that would have been. Like,
No.
if you were offered more multi years and you wanted that, and then you worked yourself into a shoot and ended up with 1 year. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Um, I don't know how that works, but
Yep. All right. You got anything else before we get out of here? I didn't really have much talk Flyers or Sixers, but anything you wanted to touch on before we get out of here?
no, I know like the Flyers are kind of hitting a skid right now, and
Yep. Yep. They sure are. They got humbled by Tampa twice in a week.
yeah, and um, Vladar I think he ended up getting hurt tonight,
Mm-hmm.
so that's a really really when you consider their backup goaltending situation, all that. That could be really, really disastrous if he misses prolonged time.
It's almost like this team isn't ready for a run, and they should have traded Dvorak at the deadline. But instead, we get him for 5 years. Awesome.
Yeah, I covered both Tampa games for the website firedupsports.com. You can go read about them. Those games I wrote about both of them.
Yep.
And yeah, those games felt very like that first loss where Tampa hung 7 goals on them or whatever it was. To me, it felt very like you said humbled, right?
Yeah.
It felt like one of those, and we see this throughout the year, right? Like some teams jump out of the gates hot in the NHL, and then like water finds its level, right? Like some teams that have talent but didn't start off that great, they start playing better around this time of year. Um, and watching Tampa Bay and watching how the Flyers kind of attacked Tampa or tried to attack Tampa, it looked like they just like Tampa broke their will in that game, and I think like that first game, and then the second one kind of felt inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a team that has a lot of talent. Watching Nikita Kucherov in person is something.
Mm-hmm.
What a player! And he goes for 4 points the first night. I think he had 2 points the next night. Um, and they have some guys down right now. Like Victor Hedman didn't play in that game. Ryan McDonough didn't play in that game. Braden Point got hurt in the second game.
He's out week to week, I think.
Yeah, with a knee injury, he got tangled up with Cam York,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and they're a heavyweight, right? Like Tampa's a heavyweight in the Eastern Conference, and it kind of looked at like where like I don't want to minimize everything about the Flyers' start to the year, but it looked like something to me where you know it was kind of a measuring stick back to back with Tampa, and while they may be heading in a good direction, it still kind of showed you how far there is to go. I think till
Yeah.
you're at that level. So yeah, those were tough watches, but it was hard not to marvel at Tampa's best players and the way they played in those 2 games. So that's kind of where they're at. Looks like they're dropping their third.
Yeah, they
Right,
just lost. Yep.
they just lost.
5-2.
So, and I mean, they really haven't had losses, a losing streak like that yet.
This is their first 3. There's this been 3 games losing
Yeah,
streak? Is this their
yeah,
first one of the season? I think it might be, right?
I think it is. Yeah, because they have a really great record after a loss.
Yeah,
Back.
it's like 12-2-1 or something crazy. Like it's something ridiculous. I don't know exactly the number, but
Yeah,
it's some ridiculous number. Yeah.
yeah. So, and I mean, like, we've said, I think we've said this on here, but there's been such a like, like the Flyers have the Flyers may be a good team, right? Like this is not a team without talent. Like they do have some talent, um, but their deficiencies, I think, are very real and are very hard to address. Right when we consider they're still in the market for that I wouldn't even say like everybody says 1C, right? But I would even take a top 6 guy, like a good
Sure,
second
yeah.
center would be nice on this roster. Um, Same thing with like they really don't have a number 1D guy. Um, so they kind of do everything by committee, and it's hard to win that way sometimes. And like so they're going to have to find a way. Like I don't know how they're going to do it, but free agency is not really an option for that kind of thing. And you know, trades you really have to give to get, and unless a situation evolves where like a Trevor Zegras player type, comes available and there's an option to get someone on the cheap, or identifying a player that you think could be a top 6 centerman who hasn't really hit that level yet, and a team, he ends up in a situation where he's not getting the ice time, or whatever the case may be. Things could evolve, and they could, but they have to make sure they strike while the iron's hot, kind of thing. But it's hard because you kind of have to wait and let things play out, which is difficult, especially when you see them having a little bit of success this year. You want them to kind of shore up those needs and make a run, right? But like it's just like it's hard to do that, you know. So I don't know, like
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to look like. The East is so jumbled in hockey this year. So, a 4 or 5 game losing streak could really kind of, they could hit a real,
Yeah.
be outside the playoff picture, in a couple days. Like
They might be out of it now, are they not?
Are they?
They're close. They're again. It's like 6 teams within like a point or two of each other. It's insane.
Yeah.
I could check because I know they were close. Yeah, right now they're out of a playoff spot. Yep, with that loss.
Yeah. So there you go. Right. Like
Mhm.
tomorrow they play again tomorrow, and they're going to Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh was off, so they're waiting for the Flyers. Flyers got to fly from Buffalo to Pittsburgh, and
They're technically 11th in the conference
okay.
with that loss.
Yeah, so that's how tight it is. Like the margins are razor thin, with especially with the OT loss point and all that. It keeps things pretty tight. So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see what happens here. But I can't even imagine either. Like usually,
sorry, the crazy part.
no,
I'm looking
yeah.
at the standings. Because the Flyers are 11th in the conference right now, out of a playoff spot. Florida's 12th in the conference. That's 12th in the conference, so like, still got a lot of work to do to make the playoffs. They still have the 5th best Stanley Cup odds. Florida Panthers. It's crazy. People just expect them to be there and make a run, I guess, at the end.
Especially too, because like they're coming off like a back-to-back. Like
it's crazy.
That's like, I don't know, like even just by odds alone, you would think like, well, they're really could. It's as hard as it is to get there, right? Like,
right,
for them to like even go back would be a major like accomplishment.
And they're not even in a playoff spot right now. So
yeah, so
crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, but that's kind of where they're at. And they play again tomorrow against Pittsburgh, and that's going to be a tough one, especially if they're down a goaltender. And Pittsburgh's fresh, waiting for them. So, but they need to kind of stop the bleeding here.
Yeah, definitely. All right, before we get out of here, one last thing that popped up on my feed. So the last play of the Eagles game, or one of the last plays, I think it was the scoring, the touchdown to take the lead for the Niners with McCaffrey. People thought, obviously, he definitely was. Nolan Smith was held or whatever. They didn't call it. They asked Trent Williams about it today. Did you see his quote?
No, I didn't.
That was pretty funny. He said, "I didn't see the flag. You only get a speeding ticket if you get pulled over." Fair enough. He's not wrong.
It's no lies detected on that one.
No. It was definitely a hold. They just didn't call it, but he's not wrong. Yeah, you only
I
get
love
a speeding
that.
ticket if you get pulled over.
He didn't even like say, "Oh no, I didn't do it." He was just like, "Hey, like,
yeah,
that's good."
That is funny. So, All right, we're gonna get out of here. Like us on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and also go subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We're gonna get out of here. We will see everybody next Tuesday. See you then.